Now, another thing that we want to be looking at is why people are moving there. Why are people living here? Why they're moving there? Why? Keep asking why, because why is going to give you more answers and will unravel a lot of things. And we've got here lifestyle changes. So at the moment, we're seeing what's happened with COVID. A lot of people are exiting these locations, the cities, and they're exiting to the places where they want to live. The exodus of the affordable lifestyle, which Terry Ryder, one of my mentors, says, or one of his quotes. People leaving these suburbs or these locations and going to where they want to live. It's more affordable. Their desirability, they want to live there. They've always wanted to live there, but they couldn't live there maybe because of work. Maybe they work from home now. Now they're moving to these locations. But on this side, of course, a lot of things start to change. You look at your Sunshine Coast, you look at your Brisbanes, you look at your Gold Coast, you look at even your Byron Bays, Cairns, and your Oranges and Dubbos, and the list goes on. Your Margaret Rivers. These locations, people were more of a tourist location once upon a time. And I'm saying go invest in tourist locations because there's a lot of them I stick very, very clear away from. But some of these places, were very nice once upon a time, a touristy location, and they started to change. Things started to happen. Gentrification, lifestyle. A lot of opportunities started coming in there, infrastructure projects, government spending, etc. Now, that's when things start to change. There's been tourist attraction locations that have stayed like that and nothing's really happened to those property markets. But then there's where things start to happen, things start to change. Excuse me. And that's when people move there because of opportunities, because of jobs, because of life. Excuse me, I got the burps a bit. Because of jobs and opportunities, etc. So if you look at the list here, we've got Collingwood, you've got your Footscray's and Frankston's in here in the Melbourne CBDs, you've got your Oxford Streets in Brisbane, you've got your Blacktowns, your Maverickvilles, etc., and your Panoramas. Once upon a time in Sydney where places you didn't want to be at. You got your North Adelaides, your Elizabeths and your Salisbury and etc. Those sort of places, no one wanted to live at those places, and now look what's happening to those places. Gentrification. Things start to change. Overseas students or internal students, opportunities. So if you look at your Tasmanias, your Hobarts and your Launceston, there's a lot of things going on there at the moment with university, especially with the healthcare industry, a lot of studies, a lot of research centres. So that's something as well to look at why people are moving there as well. Things start to happen. Stadiums get put in, and then they're starting to play certain AFL or rugby games or etc. Having Olympic Games or Commonwealth Games can have an effect on those markets as well. So this is something to look out for. Those tranquility lifestyles, those affordable lifestyles, and those are the markets that you start to see their affordability, and then they just rise and they just keep going and they're increasing in value. Because then desirability, gentrification starts to come in. So it first starts with, your affordable markets, and everything changes. Once upon a time, Sydney and Melbourne, once affordable, what happened? Those markets started to get unaffordable now, and, they get pushed back. Ripple effect starts to happen, and things go back and back and back. Doesn't mean that every suburb that's, surrounding Sydney are all treated equal. There's a reason why some suburbs are performing better than others. And the same goes with location and regional towns. So I call this like the ugly duckling syndrome as well, which I would like to put in there. Because if we can look at these markets that people say, I don't want to invest there. I don't want to invest in those markets. Why do I invest in those markets? It's like, you look at your Frankstons. If you go back and go, oh, no way I want to invest in Frankston. That's a gringy area. And they start naming different types of demographic of people and why it's terrible and this and that, the crime rate, etc. Then, all of a sudden, gentrification starts to happen. Desirability, it's close to the beach, close to Melbourne CBD as well. There's a lot of things, infrastructure project, high-rise apartments and skyscrapers that they want to start putting in there. They want to turn into like another city down the track, Things like these start to influence the market. Gentrification starts to happen. That ugly duckling syndrome starts to turn into a desirable location. Happens with a lot of towns, regional towns, cities. It happens all the time. And those are the markets where you want to get in. I love when people say to me, I'll never put money in those markets. I won't invest there. It's all people live there. Apparently it's a bad place, this and that, blah, 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 blah. My eyes about light up. And my ears started pricking. And I was like, oh, You start hearing about these places, and you're like, okay, let's have a look into these places. And you can look at, things where I'll teach more in depth about this. And this is something where you start looking at income ratios increasing from previous history to now, and it's increasing. And you start to look at, your stock on market, your vacancy rates, population growth, not so much as in overseas migration, but your internal migration. There's a lot of places that, which I'll talk in another video about population growth, but there's a lot of places that their population hasn't even expanded. It's actually, some of them have actually detracted, but it's actually grown so much in value, those markets. So population pressure doesn't have too much to do with it, but there is signs to certain markets, a lot of markets as well. So it's a counterweight thing. So leaving me to this is something that we want to look at certain places. Gentrification is massive. Ipswich is one of them in Brisbane. There's a place in Brisbane, Ipswich, you say, I'll never put my money there. That's a terrible place. There's Bogan Central or whatever they used to say, but look at it now. It's booming. It's booming at the moment. So everything changes for a reason. Things start to happen. So this is something to look out for, and it's something crucial. So I guess it's like a secret weapon. Ugly duckling syndrome, I like to call it. So thank you for watching this video to the very end.